அனைவருக்கும் என் அன்பான வணக்கங்கள். Good evening all of you. Am I audible? Yes. Thank you, my dears. Today we are going to discuss about cost and management accounting, C intermediate. What to study for the coming examination. First, I would like to discuss ABC analysis. What are all the items you have to concentrate properly? A category item, B category item, and C category item. A category item represent, high voltage, highly important item. B category, the next best, and C is the last one. So, with respect to cost and management accounting, A category items are, first you should be strong in the costing theory part. That is basic concept theory, you should be thorough. Material costing, employee costing, process costing, standard costing, marginal costing, and activity based costing. These are all for the coming examination A category item. Next, B category item, overhead topic, operating costing, joint product and byproduct costing. And last one is C category item, cost sheet, integral and non-integral accounting system, nothing but cost accounting system, job and batch costing, and budgetary control. So they're all A category, B category, and C category item areas. Now, in each and every topic, what to study, what are all the commonly committed mistakes are there, that we are going to discuss now. First, I'll start with the cost sheet. With respect to cost sheet, what and all you have to work out. You should be thorough with the cost sheet. Comprehensive cost sheet, you should be thorough. Two types of cost sheets are there. One is called the simple cost sheet, another one is called the comprehensive cost sheet. Simple cost sheet, without any opening and closing stock. If opening stock of raw material, closing stock of raw material, opening stock of WAP, closing stock of WAP, opening stock of finished goods, and the closing stock of finished goods are there in this question, then it is called comprehensive cost sheet. Else it is called simple cost sheet. So here we have to work out comprehensive cost sheet for the examination purpose. And another most importantly, reverse working. For that you should be thorough with respect to costing, cost sheet format. So few elements will be there in this question. By way of reverse working, you have to solve based on cost of goods sold, cost of production, cost of manufacture, cost of goods available for sales. All the terminology should be proper with respect to cost sheet. Then, what are all the commonly committed mistakes with respect to cost sheet? Please be thorough with the factory cost and conversion cost. Conversion cost does not include raw material. With considering raw material is called the factory cost. So raw material cost, labor, and direct expenses equal to prime cost. Add factory or production overhead is equal to factory cost. In this, if I am going to remove the raw material cost alone, that is called conversion cost. So conversion cost does not include raw material cost. So conversion cost is equal to direct wages, direct expenses plus production overhead is equal to conversion cost. Then you should be in the position to know semi-variable cost properly. Partly fixed cost and the partly variable cost is called the semi-variable cost. So how to identify the semi-variable cost? Based on that you have to solve the problem. And last importantly, profit. To fix the selling price, to find the sales revenue, you have to identify the profit element. With respect to profit, sometime suppose 20% they need profit, sometime 20% on cost, or sometime 20% on sale. So you have to be careful with respect to reading the question. So whether it is based on cost or whether it is based on selling price, accordingly profit element will change. So after seeing the percentage, please be careful. That percentage is on what? That is more important. The next topic I would like to move called material costing. With respect to material costing, what are all the elements is supposed to remember with respect to what are all the segments you have to solve with respect to material costing. The first important thing, various stock levels, especially reverse working problem is important. Welcome, reorder level, maximum level, minimum level, average level, danger level. In that, reverse working problem is important for this examination. Reorder level, if safety stock is there, how to identify, that is also important. Based on that, solve at least one or two problems. Then concentrate economic ordering quantity. With respect to computation of EOQ, two methods are there. One is formula based method, another one is called tabular method. So in examination, they'll give find EOQ. You have to identify the question is based on formula based or tabular based. So how to identify the problem is based on formula or tabular based? So tabular method is applicable only in case of options are there in this question. If there is a options available, if there is a selling price, change in selling price, discounts available, we have to solve the problem by way of tabular method. Else, we have to solve it by way of formula based method. So try to find out the question is based on formula based method or tabular method. Accordingly, you have to solve the problem. Then, with respect to computation of carrying cost in EOQ, always remember carrying cost is purely based on, suppose 10% carrying cost on purchase price, means the purchase price is the criteria, price of the product is the criteria. So price of the product into 10% you can apply. Irrespective of the discount based on the quantity we are going to buy, the carrying cost remain constant on MRP price. But few circumstances in exam question itself they'll specify 10% carrying cost on net purchase price they'll give. Whenever net purchase price given in this question, we can't take 10% on MRP, 10% on discounted price. So option 1, option 2, option 3, which option, what is the price? Accordingly, you have to apply the percentage. So carrying cost will vary according to the one discount price. So at least solve one problem based on discounted price, 10% on net purchase price. Next, safety stock. With respect to there is a safety stock, carrying cost is important, computation of carrying cost. Even for the MCQ, this type of question used to come. Computation of carrying cost whenever safety stock is available. Always remember formula for the carrying cost is half of the order size into carrying cost per unit per annum. Don't write half of the EOQ into carrying cost per unit per annum. Half of the order size into carrying cost per unit per annum. But the 1/2 half is not applicable with respect to carrying cost for the safety stock. Whenever you are going to compute safety stock into carrying cost per unit, you have to apply. 1/2 concept is not applicable. Based on the try to solve the problem. And one more question you have to try. Whenever I am going to purchase a raw material, two materials together, purchasing more than one material, two materials together, how to compute EOQ, how to apportion between product raw material A and B. So purchasing more than one material, two material at a time, how to compute EOQ. So these are all the problems you have to solve. Try for EOQ. Stock out cost is important. If there is a stock out, what would be the impact with respect to company, for the company? How much the cost they are going to incur? Stock out cost problem, try to solve. Stores ledger, especially FIFO method and LIFO method problem, try to solve. Stores ledger, maintenance of stores ledger. Data of purchase. First start with the opening stock, thereafter data of purchase. How much quantity issue, how much the inflow quantity, how much the issuing quantity. So how much the quantity, rate and price, how to identify based on FIFO as well as LIFO. Valuation of stock based on that also you have to compute. So stores ledger problem you have to try. Landing cost is an important one. So landing cost represent what? 2-3 times similar question they ask in the past exam itself, 5-mark question itself, compulsory question with respect to landing cost. Right from the procuring the raw material till it is going to reach the product in the godown. What are all the costs I am going to incur? Those costs are called landing cost. So landing cost based problem. So with respect to landing cost, from the purchasing the raw material from the side, bill amount plus tax plus carriage inwards. So what are all the delivery charges? All those things still it is going to be there at the good one. What are all the costs I am going to incur? Keep on going to add how to add. Whereas quantity, purchase quantity, less transit loss, less storage loss, balance quantity will be there. So quantity keep on going to reduce, whereas value keep on going to increase. So how much the landing cost? Total value divided by net to quantity is equal to landing cost. So based on that, you have to try one problem. Then FSN analysis. FSN stands for fast moving, slow moving, non-moving stock. FSN analysis. So they'll give the raw material A, B or A, B, C. You have to identify which one is the fast moving, which one is the slow moving, which one is the non-moving. For that purpose, raw material turnover ratio, raw material consumption, we have to identify. Based on that only, we can identify what? FSN analysis. Then we have to solve the problem, decision-making problem. So how to make a decision? Decision whether you have to buy or not, or just in time we can apply or not. Based on the decision-making problems also will be there, or which option is best. So for that, at least one or two problems you have to try. These are all the practical problems you have to try with respect to material costing. Clear? In material costing, where and all you may have the chance to commit the mistake. Reorder level is different, reorder quantity is different. Clear? Reorder level and reorder quantity. So remember one thing, we are having formula with respect to reorder level, maximum usage into maximum lead time. Whereas reorder quantity, we are using the formula, okay? Formula in maximum level. Reorder level plus reordering quantity minus minimum usage into minimum lead time. So you should know the difference between reorder level and reorder quantity. Reorder level means how many quantity I have to, in which level I have to place an order is called reorder level. In the level order in which level I have to place an order is called reorder level. Reorder quantity represents how many quantity I have to purchase is called reorder quantity. Therefore, you should know the difference between reorder level and reorder quantity. It's a commonly committed mistake from the student side. Then, with respect to average level, we are having two formula. What are all the two formulas with respect to average level? Minimum level plus maximum level divided by 2 is equal to average level, or minimum level plus half of the reordering quantity. Remember one thing, two different formula going to give the two different answers only. Both the answers not same answer. Any one of the formula you can apply, both the answers are correct answer only. Don't get panic in examination. The next, danger level. Danger level also you're having two different formula. Minimum usage into minimum lead time, or normal usage also sometimes you can use. Alternative formula, minimum usage into minimum time for emergency purchase. So remember one thing, between two formula, whenever emergency purchase given in this question, what is called emergency purchase? We are in the urgent level. Okay, we need what emergency, because we are in the danger level, you need the product urgently. Therefore, whenever emergency purchase level given in this question, we have to emergency or delivery time is given in this question. We have to make use of that particular formula only. Minimum usage into minimum time for emergency purchase. If the minimum time for emergency purchase lead time period is not given, then you have to use the next formula. Minimum usage into minimum lead time. Clear? The minimum can be substituted by normal or average usage also. The next mistake committed by the student side is minimum level, maximum level, reorder, all the stock levels, various stock levels formula. We have to use raw material, not finished goods. Many occasions in examination, they are given finished goods data, but in formula, minimum usage into minimum lead time. Minimum usage represent what? Usage of raw material. Maximum usage represent what? Usage of raw material. We need raw material data, but in exam, they may give finished goods data. So whenever finished goods is there, finished goods of product, raw material is a input. So we need input raw material data. So whenever finished goods data is there, we have to convert into raw material data. So always remember, in material costing, we need raw material data, not for finished goods data. If finished goods data is there, you should know how to convert the finished goods into raw material. To produce the product, how many kgs of raw material they will tell. So accordingly, you have to convert. Then always remember, the answer should be more specific. 200 units or 200 kgs or 200 liters or 200 pieces. If you are not going to specify, reduction in mark will be there. Each and every step carries mark. Suppose EOQ, formula carries half a mark. In that, A represent what, O represent what, C represent what, you have to write fully. A represent annual requirement of raw material in quantity, you have to mention. Clear? Annual is important, raw material is important, and quantity is important. Instead of annual, they may give monthly usage also. Instead of raw material, they may give finished goods also. Instead of quantity, they may give the value. Therefore, you should be very careful. Annual requirement of raw material in quantity, usage of raw material in quantity. Over a person ordering cost per order. Many occasions they have given ordering cost total, but we need a per order ordering cost. See a person carrying cost per unit per annum, not total. Clear? So you should be thorough with respect to A, O, and C definition properly. Always remember lead time represents the time gap between date of order and date of receipt of goods. என்னைக்கு order போடுறேன், when I am going to place the order, when I am going to receive the goods. The difference is called lead time. Lead time is the difference between date of order and date of receipt of goods. Then EOQ and ROQ may not equal. EOQ and ROQ may not equal. In general, EOQ is equal to ROQ. ROQ may not equal to EOQ, depending upon the nature of the raw material, whether discount available or not, seasonal raw material, accordingly it is going to vary. Clear? Now, lead time represents time gap between date of order and the date of receipt of goods. Many occasions, order date will be there, due date will be there, receipt date will be there, just for the purpose of confusing the student. So we have to take order date and receipt date only. Due date you should not consider at all. Due date you should not consider at all. Suppose date of order 1st January. Date of receipt, I'll repeat, date of order 1st January. Date of receipt of goods 5th January. What about the lead time? Can you please text me so that I want like to know your understanding capacity? Order date is the January 1. Receipt date is the 5th January. So what could be the lead time, Ganna? Kindly text me quickly, all of you. Yeah, 1st January, 5th January. Lead time comes to, first answer 5 days. Lead time, Selva, not 5th January. Okay, how many days is the lead time? No. So the answer is, the correct answer is 4 days, not 5 days. 1st January you are ordering 1 to 2, 2 to 3, 3 to 4, 4 to 5. So how many days? Just 4 days only. Clear? So 4 days the lead time. So once they asked in MTP, days they are given. Okay? And what? Easy way to understand more. Today I am ordering. Today you are placing the order. Tomorrow you are receiving the goods. You may not say today and tomorrow, 2 days lead time, 2 days delayed. Today ordered, tomorrow they are given. Therefore, 1 day is a waiting time. Understand logic or not? So you have to take any 1 day only. Are you able to follow? So today, January 1, I am ordering. January 2nd, I am getting mean 1 day is the waiting time for me. Similarly, so 1 to 2, 2 to 3, 3 to 4, like that you have to count. That is called the lead time. So based on that, one MTP question is also there. It's a commonly committed mistake from the student side. Okay, if you are going to what commit the mistake even 1 day, the entire answer is going to get collapsed. Then in MCQs, they are asking formula based on order cost, carrying cost, average stock, number of order size. Based on that, they are asking the MCQs. I'll repeat: ordering cost formula, number of order into cost per order. Carrying cost is equal to half of the order size into carrying cost per unit per annum. Average stock or average cost they are asking. Clear? Then what? Associated cost also they'll ask. Number of order they are asking. Okay, order size they are asking. So for that, you should be thorough with the formula. Okay. Then when tabular method applicable, when Kanna already we discussed. If the discounts are available in this question, options are available, whether quarterly purchase, half yearly purchase available, then we have to apply the tabular method. Then with respect to formula based computation of EOQ, purchase price of the raw material may not relevant. Right? Purchase price, except for computation of carrying cost, it may not be relevant. But tabular method, if the discounts are there, purchase price also relevant cost for the purpose of decision making. Clear? Then, can you please tell me if safety stock is equal to 300 kgs? I'll repeat: if safety stock is equal to 300 kgs, carrying cost per unit per annum is equal to 10 rupees. Carrying cost per unit per annum is equal to 10 rupees. Can you please tell me how much the total carrying cost? It's an MCQ question. What are the total carrying cost? Safety stock 300 kgs, carrying cost per unit per annum 10 rupees. Find total carrying cost. Respond, my dears, so that I would like to know your understanding capacity for carrying cost. What is the answer? Safety stock 300 kgs. Carrying cost per unit per annum 100 or 10 rupees. Therefore, what could be the total carrying cost? Yes, Deepthi, correct. The answer is 3000. 300 into 10. Why? Yeah, not applicable. Okay, Ramya, Ramanakumar. So, carry with respect to, Samyukta, okay, right? Yeah. 1500 is not correct because with respect to carrying cost, 1/2 concept is not applicable. Clear? So, formula for the carrying cost is in general half of the order size into carrying cost per unit per annum. But except to the general rule, safety stock. Because safety stock always you have to maintain. 1/2 is not applicable. Carrying cost into what? Safety stock into carrying cost per unit. Understood logic or not? Clear? The next. So based on that, MCQ questions are also available. Then, even purchase price is not given, you should ordering quantity, that too in tabular method. That is also equally important. Okay. Then the next topic. Shall we move to the next topic? Hope you are comfortable with respect to labor costing, that is employee costing. Samyukta understood or not? Shall I go to the next one? The next level. These are all the things you have to concentrate for employee costing. We are concentrate for material costing. Now we can move for employee costing. Now, with respect to employee costing, what are all the formula you supposed to say? What are all the problems you have to concentrate? Employee costing is simplest topic because many formulas have been removed from old syllabus to new syllabus. So very restricted number of only formula only available. What are all the area you have to concentrate for the practical problem? Piece rate system, time rate system, such a simplest one. Number of units produced into rate per unit. Time rate system in time taken into rate per car. Clear? Halsey and Rowan. 4 formulas. Out of which Halsey and Rowan more important. Okay? Frequently asked question come from the Halsey and Rowan. That to reverse working question. Clear? In reverse working, factory cost might be there or conversion cost will be there. Based on that, you have to do the reverse working. That's the reason previous what topic I told, importance of the conversion cost. So conversion cost is excluding raw material, whereas factory cost is inclusive of the raw material. So based on that reverse working problem, you should know. Next, percentage of efficiency based on output and the percentage of efficiency based on time. While giving incentive bonus, they may going to we have to calculate for the employee percentage of efficiency. Sometimes output based information will be there, time based information will be there. Accordingly, how to compute. So always remember, formula for the percentage of efficiency based on output is ulta with respect to time. Because more unit I'm going to produce, then I'm an efficient person. More time I'm going to take, I'm an inefficient person. Right or not? Within less time I have to complete, then only I'm going to be called an efficient person. But output means more unit I have to produce, then only I'm going to be called efficient person. Therefore, based on this twist, because formula become ulta, percentage of efficiency based on output, how to solve the problem. Percentage of efficiency computation based on time, how to solve the problem. Try to solve at least one problem. Then group-based incentive system is also important for this examination. So many problems you come across, worker A, B, C, D, efficiency of A, what are the DA, basic wages, DA, bonus, all those things you have to compute for worker-wise. Many occasions they are asking group-based incentive. Team as a whole, they produce the product. What are the incentive you have to provide? So based on that, you have to try problem. Then the next important segment is labor turnover. Labor turnover is the most important one. The commonly committed mistake with respect to labor turnover for every student is without knowing the concept, just like that they are solving the problem. They in examination they'll give compute labor turnover only. But computation of labor turnover, okay. The compute labor turnover with respect to labor turnover with the expansion or without expansion, accordingly formula also going to vary. So first you have to identify the question is based on with expansion or without expansion. How to identify the problem is based on with or without expansion? I want to expand my business. If I want to expand the business, I need additional workers. Whenever new workers are there in this question, we have to solve the problem by way of with expansion. new worker is not given, then we have to solve it by way of without expansion. So first you have to identify the problem is based on with expansion or without expansion. In case of without expansion, three formula you have to apply. What are all they? Separation method, replacement method, mixed method applicable for without expansion. Whereas with expansion, separation method, accession method, and flux method. So kindly go through the question carefully, whether with or without expansion. Accordingly, you have to apply what? The three different sets of formula. Another important one, equivalent annual labor turnover. Equivalent annual labor turnover represents what? We have to compute the same labor turnover. After computation of labor turnover, we have to convert into per annum basis. For example, labor turnover, we got 10% separation method. Equivalent annual labor turnover, that is given for the 1 month period. For 1 month period, separation method, we got 10%. Per annum, how much? 10 into 12 is equal to 120% is the what equivalent annual labor turnover. Are you able to follow or not? So converting labor turnover into per annum basis is called equivalent annual labor turnover. This time, equivalent annual labor turnover is more important than mere computation of labor turnover. Clear? Then we have to compute overtime premium. So what could be the overtime premium? What is called overtime? Accounting treatment for the overtime premium also equally important. Clear? So overtime is different, normal wage is different. The additional wages only is called overtime. Therefore, you should know how to compute overtime premium carefully. For as per Factories Act, the workers worked more than 9 hours a day, then it is called overtime, or more than 48 hours a week, then it is called overtime. So either this or that, more than 9 hours a day or 48 hours a week. Clear? For example, wage rate is 10 rupees. Kindly respond properly. Per hour wage rate is 10 rupees. If Samyukta has worked for one day 10 hours, then what could be the overtime? How many hours the overtime? Samyukta worked 10 hours in a day. Okay, per day, per hour rate is 10 rupees. What could be the overtime? Overtime worked by Samyukta comes to how much? Kindly respond, all of you. The answer is quick. So that whether you understood or not, I want to, based on that only MCQ is also there and the big question, 5 more questions also there. So the overtime comes to how many hours? Any idea? Respond. I'll repeat once again. Samyukta worked 10 hours in a day. Okay. Rate per hour comes to 10 rupees. Wage rate is 10 rupees. What could be the overtime? Yes, no, correct. 1 hour is the overtime because as per what Factories Act, more than 9 hours a day is called overtime. Clear? 1 hour is the overtime. Clear? Now, can you please tell me what could be the overtime premium? 1 hour only overtime. Okay, what could be the overtime premium? 10 hours you worked, but 1 hour only overtime. What could be the overtime premium? How much the overtime premium? Yes, Dipti, correct. How much the overtime premium? Overtime premium. 1 hour only overtime. How much the overtime premium in rupees? Jayravan. Yes. Tell me. First answer, Dipti, 20 rupees. Yeah. Samyukta, 10 rupees. Noor, 20 rupees. The answer is what? In general, in India, in case of overtime, double the normal rate of wages you have to pay. Therefore, how much you have to pay? 20 rupees. So the commonly committed mistake is they say what? 20 rupees the answer. That is not the correct answer. 20 rupees you have to pay. Out of 20 rupees, 10 rupees are normal wages. Working hours they paid. The excess amount is called overtime premium. So 10 rupees the wages, additional 10 rupees called what? Overtime premium. So overtime premium only 10 rupees only. Understand logic or not? Are able to follow? We have to pay 20 rupees. That 20 rupees consists of wages 10 rupee and overtime premium 10 rupees. Understand? So OTP only 10 rupees. That's the reason the excess payment is called overtime premium, not normal wages. Additional wages only called overtime premium. So please be careful, my dears. Okay. Now, So overtime based sum problem is important, especially for the MCQ. That is important. Next, what and the terminology is also important with respect to labor turnover. Left hand discharge is called what? Because these are all the commonly complained mistake in student side. What is called left hand discharge? You should be thorough with the theory. Otherwise, it's very difficult to answer the examination question. Left hand discharge is called separation. Clear? If they are going to ask separation, easy for you to answer. Right? Formula for separation S by L. They ask you to compute what? Find number of employees left hand discharge. Instead of asking separation, we are having formula for separation. Separation only left hand discharge is supposed to have. Recruited and joined represent what? These are all past exam question only. What is called recruited and joined? Recruited and joined represent. Any idea? Recruited and joined represent what? Yes, accession. Very good, Raji. So accession is called recruited and joined because we know the formula for accession. Accession only called recruited and joined. If you don't know me, you may not be able to answer. Clear? So you should be thorough with respect to theory part properly. Clear? Good, Kanna. Good. Now, so these are all the things you have to what? Careful with respect to overtime. Kanna. Clear? Then you know the theory part also, what and all you have to strong with respect to theory part. Next, shall we go for overtime? That is next shall we go for overhead? So up to this stage, are you comfortable with respect to labors, employee costing? Now I can move to the next topic, what to study for overhead topic. With respect to overhead, shall I start overhead, Kanam? Yeah. So with respect to overhead, what are all the problems you have to concentrate? First, various methods of apportionment. What all the methods are there for apportionment? You should be careful. Basis of allocation. Always remember, allocation is for specific expenses, apportionment is for common expenses. 6 basis of overhead absorption. It's there in the theory. That theory they convert into practical problem. 6 basis of overhead absorption. Direct material based, wage based, clear? So prime cost based, they will give the various what? Hour based, unit based, clear? What are all the 6 bases in which you have to apportion the overhead, absorb? So overhead, that is called overhead absorption. Missionary rate is important. Under absorption or over absorption, that we have to compute. Okay, and accounting treatment of under absorption is important. Practical problem I'm telling. Okay, accounting treatment of under absorption and the various capacity. Maximum capacity, practical capacity, normal capacity, actual capacity, ideal capacity computation is important. These are all the practical problems you have to be thorough. With respect to various methods of reapportionment, direct distribution method is there, step ladder method is there, reciprocal method is there, and the reciprocal method, simultaneous equation, repeat distribution is there. So this time, simultaneous equation is more important. Clear? In examination, they won't specify which method is applicable. You should be conceptually strong with respect to identify the problem based on which method. Clear? Always remember, overhead, only we are going to consider indirect expenses alone. Direct expenses will not form part of this particular topic. Therefore, you should be remember with respect to steps to solve the problem. Collection, classification, allocation, apportionment, reapportionment, recovery. You have to remember the steps to solve the problem. Clear? So allocation is applicable only in case of specific expenses. Apportionment is applicable only in case of common expenses. Reapportionment arises only in case of service department. And the alternative name also equally important. Primary distribution, secondary distribution. Many occasions they'll ask, you have to prepare secondary distribution table. What is called secondary distribution? Any idea, my dears? What is called secondary distribution? Information will be there, known information will be there, but if you don't know what is called secondary distribution, you can't be able to solve the problem itself. Any idea with respect to secondary distribution? After giving the question, they'll ask, you have to prepare secondary distribution table. What is called secondary distribution? Reapportionment is called secondary distribution. Okay, what is called reapportionment? Transferring of service department expenses to production department is called secondary distribution. Therefore, what could be the primary distribution? Sometimes they'll ask primary distribution table, just for 5 mark question. What is called primary distribution? Any idea? allocation plus apportionment, both are called allocation plus apportionment are called primary distribution. Understood? Allocation and apportionments are called primary distribution. Not only for production department, including for the service department. Allocation, apportionment applicable for both the production as well as service department. Okay. So collection classification is there. Allocation and apportionment is called the primary distribution. Reapportionment is called secondary distribution. Clear? So the terminology, based on the terminology, they may play. Next, what you supposed to remember? Direct material or direct labor. If it is there in this question, you should not consider for the production department. You have to consider only for the service department. For primary distribution table, direct material, direct labor, even any direct expenses, we should not consider for production department. You have to consider only for the service department, because overhead only for the purpose of indirect cost, not for the direct cost. But all the expenses of the service departments are indirect cost only, because service department indirectly help us to produce a product. Therefore, even direct material, direct labor, or direct expenses given in this question, that is applicable only for the service department, not applicable for the production department with respect to primary distribution table. Are you with me or not? Then, with respect to apportionment, common expense you have to apportion. Sundries, miscellaneous expenses and all, in what basis that apportion? Light based on electricity, based on light points. Power based on kilowatt hours. Clear? Rent based on square meter. Sundries and miscellaneous expenses that means how to apportion kanna? In what basis you have to apportion? Basis of apportionment of sundries or miscellaneous expenses. Yes, based on, in general, based on direct wages. In general, based on direct wages. Clear? Or if it is a mission dependent industry, you can apportion based on hours. Hours also the suitable criteria. Clear? Depending upon that, you have to apportion. Another important thing in the commonly committed mistake is power. In what basis you have to apportion? Power. What basis you have to apportion the power, my dears? You have to apportion the power based on an area. Power based on kilowatt hours. Okay, horsepower or kilowatt hours. Horsepower of the department. Sometime horsepower of the machine will be there. And machine, how many horse worked will be there? Are you able to follow or not? Horsepower of the machine will be there. Machine, how many horse worked will be there? In this juncture, you have to multiply. Then only you have to multiply. Clear? So horsepower of that particular department is important. So please be careful whether horsepower of the department is given or horsepower of the machine is there. Horsepower of the machine is there. In machine, how many horse or run? We have to multiply. Then only total horsepower we can identify. Clear? So one of the problem which is there in the study material also, pH limited problem, kindly solve. So there, that type of problem is there. Okay, horsepower you have to multiply with the how many horse worked. Clear? Then absorbed overhead is greater than actual overhead. Then it is called what? Absorbed overhead is greater than actual overhead. Then it is called what? Over absorption. That is called over absorption. So over absorption or under absorption based practical 6 or 7 mark question is important. Same manner, MCQ also they may be going to ask the question. Okay, absorbed overhead and actual overhead comparison. Okay. Then supplementary overhead rate. Nothing but how we have to apportion the normal rate. Under absorption overhead is because of normal reason, and one is because of abnormal reason. If it is called abnormal reason, it's a loss to the company, transferred to costing P&L account. If it is a normal reason, we have to apportion among closing stock of WAP, closing stock of finished goods, and the number of units sold. Clear? For that, you may going to use supplementary overhead rate based on the kindly solve one problem. Supplementary overhead rate problem. That is there in the insured material itself. Okay. Then, so these are all the elements you supposed to remember with respect to overhead. Next, shall I go to next element? Next important topic, activity-based costing. With respect to activity-based costing, ABC is the advanced version of overhead topic. In that, what are all the problems you supposed to remember? You have to solve apportionment of cost or allocation of cost or compute total cost of the product based on traditional absorption costing and based on ABC. They'll given the question. We have to identify total cost of the product ABC or department ABC. Clear? Based on what? Traditional absorption costing and based on ABC, activity based costing. So both the way you have to identify how much the total cost and the cost per unit. Then next you have to solve cost of unused capacity, how to identify based on activity based costing. Next level problem, activity based costing with the standard costing problem. Okay, how we have to deal. Traditional manner, how we have to solve the problem in standard costing. In ABC, how we have to solve the problem. 5-mark question, frequently asked question is there. Clear? These are all the practical problem you have to remember with respect to ABC. Clear? Always remember the commonly committed mistake with respect to ABC is, ABC is the advanced version of overhead. Therefore, ABC is applicable. ABC is applicable only for overhead. So, if prime cost given in this question, okay, prime cost, whenever prime costs are there, clear, it won't get affected. Whether ABC or traditional absorption system, prime cost remains same ideas. Are able to follow or not? Clear? So, ABC applicable only for the overhead. Prime cost up to prime cost is not direct material, direct labor is equal to prime cost. The prime cost traditional absorption system also same amount, whereas ABC also same amount. The next important topic is process costing. Shall I go for process costing, my dears? In process costing, 3 segments you should be thorough. Segment 1, mere preparation of process account. Segment 2, equivalent production. Segment 3, inter-process profit. For examination purpose, segment 2 you can give the first important, equivalent production. Segment 3 you can give the second important, inter-process profit. And the last priority for segment 1, mere preparation of process account. I'll explain one by one. Segment 1, preparation of process account with accounting treatment of normal loss, abnormal loss, and abnormal gain. Okay. With sometime with P&L account also they ask you to solve the problem. In that reverse working problem also you have to try. Clear? So these are all segment 1 you have to be thorough. In segment 2, what to study? FIFO method based segment to represent equivalent production. How to solve equivalent production under FIFO method, weighted average method. Okay. 2 material is there, mean how to identify, how to solve the problem. Material A, material B, more than one material means how to solve the problem. That is important. Abnormal gain treatment is important. Treatment of abnormal gain. Clear? And here the commonly committed mistake, normal loss percentage on how to compute. So those things you have to be thorough with respect to equivalent production. Third segment is inter-process profit. If you remember the format itself, more than sufficient for inter-process profit. Particulars, cost, profit, and total. That's all for debit side and credit side. So you should know how to identify the inter-process profit. Inter-process profit at the time of adding profit 20%, 20% on what? On transfer price or total cost. You should be thorough. You have to read carefully. Accordingly, you have to solve the problem. Clear? And decision-making problems also there in marginal costing. So these are all the segments you should be thorough. So 3 segment plus 1 decision-making problem is sufficient for process costing. Then sometimes they may ask process costing merge with joint product byproduct also. Clear? That type of problem also available in study material. Here, what are all the commonly committed mistake with respect to process costing? Which area you have to focus? Okay. Now we have discussed about in a problem. What are all the problem we have to solve? Where and all will commit the mistake that we have to identify. Clear? So accounting treatment of normal loss, abnormal gain. Many of the students skipping that particular area. Kindly go through the simplest only, simple journal entry only. Clear? Just posting of journal entry in the lecture only. That's the simplest one. Therefore, by way of one entry, happily you can score 6 mark. Clear? Then formula with respect to segment 1 cost per unit is different. Cost per unit formula for segment 1 is different. And the equivalent production formula is different. In segment 1, nothing but mere preparation of process account. Formula for cost per unit is gross cost minus normal loss salvage value divided by input quantity minus normal loss quantity. Whereas in segment 2 equivalent production, cost per equivalent production is equal to total cost divided by equivalent unit is equal to equivalent production. So many of them interchanging the formula with respect to cost per unit computation. So that mistake is supposed to avoid. Then, when FIFO method is applicable, when weighted average method is applicable, you should be thorough, because many occasions in examination they are not specifying. After given the question, they ask you to prepare process account. First, the process account, either segment 1 process account or segment 2 is supposed to identify. Segment 1 is preparation of process account. Segment 2 means we have to solve the problem by way of what? Equivalent production. So correctly, Prasant, okay, told what segment 2 is applicable. Whenever WAP is there, we have to solve the problem by way of equivalent production. Then whether it's a FIFO method or weighted average method, also they won't specify. That is also your duty to identify. Degree of completion for the opening WAP given in this question mean it is you have to solve the problem by way of FIFO method. Degree of completion for the opening WAP is not there in this question. You have to solve only by way of weighted average method. Therefore, please be thorough with respect to concept before solving the problem, because few of my students they committed the mistake. Instead of FIFO method, they solve the problem by way of weighted average method. Think it of full answer they wrote correctly, but that is not the requirement of the question. So instead of FIFO weighted average mean everything they strike it out 0 mark. So instead of getting 8 mark, they got only 0 mark only. Not only mark, whatever the time they spend, half an hour or 40 minutes, time loss also as well as mark also gone. So please be thorough with respect to concept. Without knowing the concept, don't enter into the examination all at all. Clear? Then on Saranya is asking question, what kind of where and all abnormal loss and abnormal normal comes, sir, because equivalent production it's an output. Yeah, abnormal gain, normal loss and abnormal loss. Always remember with respect to equivalent production, process account will be different. You know the first step, input output quantity reconciliation. Input output quantity reconciliation statement, right? Statement is different. Statement of input output quantity reconciliation. Input output quantity column, normal loss comes under the output column. Abnormal loss also will comes under the output column. Whereas abnormal gain, that is also output column only. Clear? Because abnormal loss or abnormal gain is an output. But the same thing in process account, debit side, credit side. Statement there is no debit side, credit side. In process account, debit side, credit side will be there. Here, normal loss should be credit side, abnormal loss should be credit side, abnormal gain should be debit side. Clear? That confusion many of them going to have in the examination. Please be careful. Hope you understood, Saranya. Am I right? Then, whenever subsequent process comes into picture, we have to solve the problem by way of two material. Subsequent other than first process is given. In general, they ask you to prepare process A account or process 1 account. Suppose they are asking process 2 account or process 3 account or process B account. Clear? Then we have to solve the problem by way of two material problem. Then, for the Rajalakshmi, what do you want, ma? Reduce it. What Rajalakshmi? Okay. Yeah. Next, with respect to degree of completion is also commonly committed mistake. Degree of completion for the normal loss is always not applicable. Degree of completion for the abnormal loss, in general, 100%. But the degree of completion for the unit scrapped given in this question mean that particular percentage you are supposed to take. Clear? Unit scrapped percentage is given mean that percentage you are supposed to take. Clear? And closing WAP degree of completion always it will be there in the question paper itself. Degree of completion for the closing WAP always it will be there in the question paper itself. Okay, so one more thing, abnormal gain is there mean degree of completion for the abnormal gain is always 100% only. These are all the small tricks is supposed to remember. Then, with respect to abnormal loss computation in equivalent production, because process loss can be classified into normal loss and abnormal loss. In normal loss, many times they ask in the twist because balance only is called abnormal loss. So try to solve the problem. Normal loss, suppose 10% mean normal loss 10% on raw material input information will be there, or 10% on input will be there, 10% on output will be there, 10% on output transfer to next process, 10% on total input. These are all the different scenarios they ask the question. I'll repeat. Normal loss, suppose for example 10% normal loss, 10% on raw material input, raw material, second one, normal loss 10% on input, third circumstance, normal loss 10% on output, Fourth circumstance, normal loss 10% on output transfer to next process. And fifth circumstance, normal loss 10% on total input. These are all the terminology used in the past exam question. Accordingly, treatment also going to vary. Please be careful. Okay. Now, I will move for next topic called joint product and byproduct. Hope you're happy with the process costing. Am I right? Now I can move for joint and byproduct concept. With respect to joint and byproduct, methods of apportionment of joint cost is important. So you should be thorough with respect to what are all the methods, because in examination, many occasions they won't specify which method is applicable. Okay. So physical unit method, average unit cost method, technical point method, contribution margin method, market value method, market value at split off point method, market value after further processing method, NRV method. So various methods are there. You should be thorough which method in which circumstance supposed to use. Okay. Then decision making problem also important. That's a format based one only. Whether we have to do further process or not, based on that you have to do the decision. If you remember the format, that is sufficient for further processing decision. Clear? So sale value after further processing, sale value after split off point. Difference is called additional revenue due to further processing less further processing cost is equal to net benefit. If net benefit positive means we can do further processing. The net benefit is not positive. Loss means we no need to do further processing. We can select it as split off point. Decision making question, 5-mark question is important. Then in joint product by product, where and all will commit the mistake, commonly committed mistake. How to select the method, they will commit the mistake. Please be thorough with respect to concept. Then format, you should be thorough. Technical point method is also called survey method. So it's also what survey method. So you should be thorough, but sometimes survey method is there. It's nothing but technical point method only. Clear? Then joint cost incurred for the purpose of production quantity or sales quantity. Based on that, one past exam test question is there. Joint cost, we have to apportion the joint cost, right? Joint cost you are going to incur for production quantity or sales quantity. Kindly answer. What is the answer, Kanna? Joint cost is for yes, Samyukta, for the purpose of producing the product. Yes, Prasad, producing the product only. So this is for the purpose of production. Okay. So not based on sales quantity, but based on production quantity. Why I am asking this question means we have to apportion the joint cost. After apportioning the joint cost, you have to prepare the profitability statement. Remember one thing, profitability statement is based on sales quantity, whereas apportionment of joint cost based on production quantity. Understand logic or not? So production quantity may not be the sales quantity, balance closing stock will be there. You should know how to handle the same. Understand? So don't get the confusion. Joint cost is based on production quantity out of portion, whereas profitability statement they lost based on sales quantity out of prepare. Clear? Then contribution margin method, once they ask a beautiful question, sales minus variable cost is equal to contribution minus fixed cost is equal to profit. Am I right? So if I'm going to solve the joint cost by way of apportion the joint cost by way of contribution margin method, variable cost I can apportion based on physical unit, because variable cost is going to vary according to volume of production. So it's minus variable cost is equal to contribution less fixed cost. That fixed cost alone I can apportion. Joint cost, fixed cost alone I have to apportion based on contribution. That's why it's called the contribution margin method. Suppose product A's contribution negative, product B's contribution positive. In what basis I can apportion the total joint cost? Joint cost represent it's a cost incurred for A and B. Product A we have incurred a loss, contribution loss. Product B we are getting positive. Then how to apportion the joint cost? Any idea? Are you able to understand the question, Kanna? It's a past exam question only. Yeah. How to apportion? Then product A, we no need to allocate any joint cost, apportion any joint cost. The entire joint cost you have to apportion only to product B alone. Where we are getting positive, those product only you have to apportion. Understand logic or not? Only for B, not for A. Because A already contribution loss only, therefore you have to apportion only for B. Okay, Rajalakshmi? So these are all the things commonly committed mistake in this joint product and byproduct costing. Hope you enjoyed joint and byproduct. Okay? Yes. Yes, Vensila Rani. Correct, Kanna. Yeah. The next one, operating costing, also called service sector costing. So Noor's favorite topic, am I right? Operating costing, also called service sector costing. Here, what are all the problems you're supposed to solve for examination? Cost unit is the criteria. Okay, with respect to cost unit, identification of cost unit is the criteria. Clear? How to identify the cost unit? If the tangible product is easy, intangible product, 5 more question they're asking. What about the cost unit of the service sector? School, number of students, hospital, patient per day, clear, bed per day. So identification of cost unit based problem you have to give. It's a concept based question. Then practical question, cost per passenger kilometer is important. Fare per passenger kilometer. Cost per passenger kilometer different from fare per passenger kilometer. Then fare per round trip you have to solve the problem. Cost per ton mile you have to solve the problem. I'll repeat. Cost per passenger kilometer, fare per passenger kilometer, fare per round trip, and cost per ton mile. So these are all the problems you have to solve in operating costing. Then composite unit based problem you have to solve. What is called the composite unit? Absolute 10 kilometer and commercial 10 kilometer is called composite unit. So composite unit based problem you have to solve. Decision making problem, whether I have to what accept or not, clear operating costing, whether I have to what accept the discount or not. So some decision making question will be there. Which one is the best one? Whether I have to give the car or own car is preferable or hired car is preferable. Like the decision making problems are there. So where it is cheaper, that option is preferable. Decision making problem you have to. Then hotel room rent based problem also you have to solve. So these are all the problems sufficient for service sector or operating costing. With respect to conceptual error, where and all you will commit the mistake, commonly committed mistake. Treatment of percentage of profit again, right from the beginning, that problem is there. 20% on cost, sometimes they'll say, or 20% on sale value. Here, sale value is also called takings. They are using the terminology called taking. Out of doing the operation, how much I am taking, take home. That is called taking. Cost plus profit is equal to selling price. In operating costing, cost plus profit is equal to takings. They are taking. Taking represents the total revenue or sale value is called taking. Clear? So whatever the percentage I have given in this question, that percentage on cost or percentage of taking, accordingly, you have to solve the problem. Then, while computing cost per passenger kilometer, total operating cost divided by number of passenger kilometers equal to cost per passenger kilometer will come. Am I right? Whether we have to solve it in per month basis or per annum basis, irrespective of the case, you'll get the same answer only. Clear? Suppose I'm preparing cost per passenger kilometer, total operating cost, all costs I'm adding, divided by number of passenger kilometers equal to cost per passenger kilometer. 20 rupees is the cost per passenger kilometer. It's based on per month I have computed. 20 rupees the cost per passenger kilometer based on what? Per month. Suppose per annum you are preparing, because I may going to prepare per month, you may going to prepare per annum basis. Suppose you are going to prepare in per annum basis, what would be the cost per passenger kilometer, Deepthi? When sir, tell me, what would be the cost per passenger kilometer? Per month I got 20 rupees. Suppose you are preparing per annum basis, what would be the answer? Noras, what is the answer, Kanna? Saranya. The answer is same 20 rupees only, not 240 and all. Clear? Same 20 rupees only. Cost per passenger kilometer, per kilometer only. Clear? Therefore, because numerator also going to multiply with the 12, denominator is also going to multiply with the per month. If I am going to prepare mean per month expenses per month kilometer. Per annum means numerator also multiply with the 12, denominator also multiply with the 12. Therefore, you'll get the same answer 20 only. Or you got the answer or not? Clear? So these are all the commonly committed mistakes. Please be careful, my dears. Okay. So multiple with the 12 is not the correct answer. 240 is not the correct answer. 20 is the correct answer. Yes, Peninsula Rani and Rajalakshmi is got the correct answer. Good. Okay. Now, next topic, job and batch costing. That's the simplest topic. Job costing and batch costing is not a separate topic at all. Job costing is an extension of the cost sheet. Batch costing is an alternative version of economic ordering quantity, EOQ. So job costing, remember the cost sheet. Instead of cost sheet, it's called job cost sheet. Instead of sale value, it's called the job value. All the data remains same. Comprehensive cost sheet or simple cost sheet, Clear? Here, price quotation based with job cost sheet you have to prepare. So one or two problem you can try for price quotation based one. If you're strong in cost sheet, job cost sheet is very easy only. Then with respect to batch costing, we can solve the problem by way of tabular method as well as what formula based method. Economic batch quantity, square root of 2a s divided by clear I. So the setup cost, transaction cost, okay, carrying cost you have to identify. And a tabular method also, comparison, okay, how many units I can produce per batch. So tabular method as well as formula based method, we can solve one problem, that is sufficient. So the difference between EOQ, economic ordering quantity, and economic batch quantity is economic ordering quantity per time how many quantity I have to purchase is called economic ordering quantity. Per time how many units I have to produce is called economic batch quantity. Therefore, EOQ is for raw material, EBQ, economic batch quantity, is called finished goods. Understood? One is for raw material, another one is for finished goods. So got the clarity, Gana? Then I can move for cost accounting system. Okay, yeah, cost accounting system, integral, also called integral and non-integral accounting system. What and all you have to study for integral and non-integral accounting system? Journal entry should be thorough. Ledgers you have to be integral accounting separately, non-integral accounting separately for journal entry. Ledger, how to preparation of ledger is important, Kanna. Reconciliation statement is the first step. Most importantly, reconciliation. Even the reconciliation, under absorption, under recovery or over recovery based questions will be there. Under recovery of factory overhead, over recovery of administration of overhead. So based on that, you have to solve reconciliation problem. So reconciliation priority means first rank for a reconciliation, second rank for ledger, last rank for journal. Clear? Then here, what are all the points supposed to remember with respect to cost accounting system, integral non-integral accounting? Always remember, reconciliation statement applicable arises only in case of non-integral accounting system, not applicable for integral accounting system. Similarly, general ledger adjustment account, also called cost ledger adjustment. General ledger adjustment is also called what? Cost ledger adjustment, arises only in case of non-integral accounting system, not for integral accounting system. Are you clear, Kanna? Then, whenever wages comes into picture, you have to pass a two journal entry. At the time of incurring the wages, thereafter you have to transfer the wages to respective department. So wages incurred or entry, and another entry is what? Wage I have to transfer to respective ledger. Two entries you have to pass for wages. Then material return to job. Okay, return from the job. What could the journal entry will pass? From where to where? Job return from the job to stores coming. Am I right? Upper stores ledger control account debit to WAP control account. So for that, one room to another room only it's moving. In this juncture, whether integral accounting system, non-integral accounting system, you'll get the same journal entry only. There is no separate journal entry. Clear? So rules to solve reconciliation is for your easy understanding. Better you can prepare memorandum of reconciliation memorandum of reconciliation account instead of statement. So account means debit side and credit side will have the better comfortness. Clear? Then always start with the profit as per financial accounting, ends with the profit as per cost accounting. By profit as per financial accounting, ends with the to profit as per cost accounting. Suppose Rajalakshmi loss means ulta. To profit loss as per cost accounting, loss as per financial accounting, ends with the loss as per cost accounting. Clear? Remember, P&L accounting, net profit is coming. That I am going to transfer me credit side coming. Net loss is there. In reconciliation, it comes to the debit side. That's all. So always start with the memorandum of reconciliation statement. Start with the profit as per financial accounting, ends with the profit as per the cost accounting. Clear? So thereafter, you can prepare the statement under absorption or over absorption or increase or decrease. So accordingly, you have to know how to pass the entry, debit side or credit side. If it's the P&L account format, you have a better grip over the solve the problem. Clear? Then few items applicable only for financial accounting but not for cost accounting system. In this juncture, you have to mention carefully, for example, share transfer. Share transfer fee is the income or expenses, first of all, my dears. Share transfer fee is the income or expenditure. Kindly respond. Big. Share transfer fees. It's a commonly committed mistake. Yeah. Share transfer fee is an income, not expenses. That income applicable only in financial accounting, but not in cost accounting. Clear? So, therefore, you have to debit in the reconciliation statement. In debit side, you have to write income included in the financial accounting, but not in the cost accounting. I'll repeat, and the heading point, otherwise half mark will reduce. Income included in the financial accounting, but not in the cost accounting. Similarly, uh, preliminary expenses written off. That is applicable only in financial accounting, but not in cost accounting. But the expenses. That expenses I have to want debit side upon. In with respect credit side, I have to park in memorandum of reconciliation account. In what heading I have to put expenditure included in the financial accounting, but not in cost accounting. Underneath preliminary expenses written off, you have to write. Clear? So heading is also important. Otherwise, half mark they'll reduce. Always remember. Direct material or raw material purchased 5 lakhs is there. I'll repeat, raw material purchased 5 lakhs is there. In memorandum of reconciliation statement, whether I have to pass it in debit side or credit side while doing the reconciliation, memorandum of reconciliation account, raw material purchase 5 lakhs is there. Samyukta, can you please tell me whether I have to debit side or the entry in debit side or credit side in memorandum of reconciliation account? Deepti, Raji, Muras, Vinsilam, pick. Where I have to park? Raw material purchase, yes. The answer is, yeah, fast. Debit side, Amma. Okay. Any other answer? So it will not form part of reconciliation account. It will not form part of reconciliation account. No entry. Good. Because any direct expenses, there is no need for any reconciliation. Because real out of pocket cost. Therefore, it will not form part of. When we need reconciliation, try to learn the concept. When we did reconciliation, cost accounting shows different profit, financial accounting shows different profit. There's a difference in profit between cost accounting and financial accounting. That's the reason we did reconciliation. With respect to direct expenses, real cash outflow, whether cost accounting or financial accounting, they are going to park the same expenses only. Therefore, there is no difference. Therefore, there is no need for any reconciliation. Understood logic or not? Okay, so it will not form part of reconciliation account. So these are all the commonly committed mistake in integral and non-integral accounting system. Next, we'll go for marginal costing. What all you have to study with respect to marginal costing for practical problem? Thorough with respect to profit volume ratio, PV ratio, break-even point, margin of safety, indifference point. These are all the practical problems you should be thorough. Profit volume ratio, break-even point, margin of safety, and indifference point. That too, BEP with the opening stock is there, mean how to handle, how to identify BEP based on the solve one problem. In instrument material also, pharmaceutical company having the shelf life of 1 year, some study material problem is there that you can try. Okay. BEP per unit, BEP computation based on overhead per unit will be there. Why per unit they are giving? Because to compute BEP, you need variable cost as well as fixed cost. Fixed cost will be contribution per unit is equal to BEP. Am I right? Selling price when is variable cost, the denominator is a contribution per unit. Numerator fixed cost. So total cost remains same in fixed cost. Total cost varies in variable cost. But in examination they ask the question based on per unit. So per unit based overhead they'll give so that you'll get the confusion. So if you read the definition properly, very easy. Variable cost per unit will vary depending upon volume of production. Whereas variable cost per unit remain constant irrespective of the volume of production. Whereas fixed cost per unit will vary depending upon volume of production. That's the reason they are giving per unit based. So overhead per unit based will be there. We have to compute BEP based on the solve one problem. So these are all the practical problem. Thereafter decision making problem also. In case of merger, how to solve the problem? More than one company going to merge, how to identify break-even point or how to identify the profitability statement. That is also important. So these are all the practical problem. Or clear kind of these are all the practical problem you have to try before exam for your examination. Then what are all the concepts you should be thorough? Where and all will commit the mistake. Indifference point when it will arise. the significance of the indifference point is important. They won't stop mere computation of indifference point alone. So when it will arise, what could be the significance? When indifference point will arise, if there is a conflict in selection based on variable and fixed cost. If you go by way of variable cost, one option is best. If I'm looking to the fixed cost, another option is best. Then indifference point we have to identify. After identification of indifference point, if the level of sales demand is less than indifference point, low fixed cost option you have to choose. Sales demand is more than the indifference point quantity, less variable cost you have to choose. Okay, so low fixed cost criteria in case of level of sales is less than indifference point. Level of sales demand is more than indifference point, low variable cost is a criteria. For the purpose, we have to use a tool called indifference point. One more question also you have to try. Product mixed base BEP. More than one product is there. How to identify BEP? That is also important. Clear? Then, MCQ questions also they're asking variable cost percentage will be there. Remaining percentage is equal to PV ratio. So you don't have to work out any formula also. Variable cost 40%, find the PV ratio is there. I mean, don't get the confusion. Remaining 60% is equal to PV ratio. Clear? Then, total sales consist of margin of safety sales and BEP sales. One simple question they ask me MCQ. Total sales 100 lakhs, margin of safety 40 lakhs. What are the BEP sales? Again, you need to compute 100 lakhs minus 40 lakhs is equal to balance equal to 60 lakhs is the BEP sales. You can clear. One interesting question they asked them. Contribution on margin of safety is equal to 4 lakhs. Find the profit. Any idea, Gana? Contribution on margin of safety is equal to 4 lakhs. They ask you to find the profit. What is the answer for the profit? Even the one more question also equally important. Contribution on MOS is equal to 4 lakhs. Find profit. What is the profit? The answer is same 4 lakhs because in MOS, contribution itself is equal to profit. Once they ask 3 more question, practical question. Contribution on margin of safety is 4 lakhs. PV ratio 50%, find the profit. PV ratio become irrelevant data. They want to apply 44 lakhs into 40% is equal to something. Clear? So because in MOS, contribution is itself profit. No profit on margin of safety, not correct. BEP only no profit. Margin of safety, contribution itself profit. Okay, Rani? Now, one more question they ask, interesting question. Contribution on BEP is equal to 4 lakhs. Contribution on break-even point is equal to 4 lakhs. PV ratio 50%. Find fixed cost. I'll repeat. Contribution on BEP break-even point is equal to 4 lakhs. PV ratio 50%. Find fixed cost. How much of fixed cost in ADM? What is the answer? The answer is, quick. 4 lakhs into 50% is equal to 2 lakhs. Not correct. The answer is 4 lakh itself. Why? In BEP, contribution itself is equal to fixed cost. Profit is equal to 0. This is the manner they are setting the MCQ. So you should be strong in the theory. Theory concept strong irundaldan you can solve MCQ problem itself. Okay? Good. Then, what are the formulas we have seen in marginal costing? Always remember, denominator is the contribution per unit means any formula, denominator is the contribution per unit, answer in terms of quantity. The denominator is a PV ratio, answer in terms of rupees. Please be careful in examination. They ask you to find BEP value. BEP value means in rupees you have to solve. Instead of that, if you are going to solve by quantity, you won't get any answer, any mark at all. Clear? So for that, accordingly, you have to apply the formula. Denominator is PV ratio means in formula, any formula, denominator PV ratio answer in terms of value. Denominator is a contribution per unit, answer in terms of quantity. That is for indifference point computation also. BEP computation or answer, even for MOS, clear? Based on denominator, you can identify whether value or quantity. Suppose margin of safety in quantity they asked. You have to apply the formula profit divided by contribution per unit. Suppose margin of safety value they asked, formula you have to apply profit by PV ratio. So please please try to refer the question properly. Thereafter, put the formula. Okay. Then, so with this marginal costing and completing. Next, shall we move for budgetary control? Enjoyed marginal costing, Kanna. Okay. Next, we can go for budgetary control quickly. What are all the practical problems you have to solve for budgetary control? Budgetary control, then 5 more question they may ask. So for that, kuti segments and all you have to throw. Production budget, everything based on forward. If you remember the format, that is sufficient. Production budget is important. Raw material usage budget is important. Raw material purchase budget, at least solve one problem. Labor hour requirement, how to compute that problem. Labor cost, okay. Labor cost, okay. Number of operators, how many operators required, that is important. Expenditure budget is important. Cash budget is also important. Sales budget is important. Master budget with the flexible budget. These are all the budgets, practical problem you have to try. Clear? In my LMR book, I have given what are all the problems you have to solve. Important questions also I have given the material. Am I right? And the book code is material. That is what a document. So those questions alone you can thorough. More than nothing will come more than that. Are you able to follow or not? Important question, what I have mentioned in my textbook LMR book is more than sufficient so that we can cover all varieties of the problem for the last minute revision. Then, budget with the standard costing, how to solve the problem, budgetary control along with the standard costing, budgetary control with the economic ordering quantity based problem, EOQ computation. Always remember budget, sometime in terms of quantity they are asking, sometime in terms of value based computation also you should know, and quantity based computation also you should know. Here you should know how to park the figure at the respective place. You have the control over the data. Clear? Now, these are all the practical problems you have to remember with respect to budgetary control. Where and all you'll commit the mistake, what area you have to focus properly. Okay? Format for the budget you have to thorough. The practice. Production budget means sales plus closing stock of finished goods minus opening stock of finished goods equal to production. Raw material purchase budget means raw material consumption add closing stock of raw material less opening stock of raw material is equal to raw material consumption. So remember the format so that easy for it to do the filling the blanks. Then whether we are going to prepare quantity, which quantity you have to take. Production mean finished goods quantity you have to take. Purchase mean raw material quantity you have to take. Students are interchanging the both. Okay. So whether we are preparing raw material based budget or finished goods based budget, it should be thorough. Whenever you are going to prepare flexible budget, prepare along with the master budget. Just to solve master budget, proportionately you can solve what flexible budget. So that you have a better control. Master budget, what is the kapparna, flexible budget you have to solve. Clear? Then these are all the things you have to remember with respect to budgetary control. So hope you enjoyed budgetary control. Okay. Then we'll move for standard costing. Standard costing, what are all the practical problems you have to remember? You know, all 4 types of variance should be thorough. Sales variance not applicable for examination. Therefore, material variance, labor variance, variable overhead variance, fixed overhead variance. Out of 4, fixed overhead variance is important for an exam. In that fixed overhead, with the calendar is there, without calendar variance is there. For with the calendar variance is more important. So material variance nalla paathungo, fixed overhead with the calendar variance is also important. Sometimes reverse working also they'll ask, filling the blanks at the chance. So format should be proper, formula should be there at the fingertip. Clear? Rules and identification of variance and draw the respective chart and filling the blanks. If you remember the format and the formula, then standard costing with activity based costing based problem. One problem frequently asked question, 5-mark question at the time of ABC itself. So that is also important. Standard costing with budgetary control based problem. That is important. So these are all the standard costing comparatively easy only if you know the chart properly. Okay. So these are all the practical problem you have to remember with respect to standard costing. Now, what are all the commonly committed mistakes? Which area you have to focus with respect to standard costing? First, RAQ, revised actual quantity, is also known as revised standard quantity. It's a doubt arise from the many students. Some examination they said revised standard quantity. Some examination they said revised actual quantity. Clear? Revised actual quantity, revised standard quantity, both are same only. No need to get any confusion. Clear? Next, standard quantity. If at all you are going to commit the mistake, you'll commit the mistake only in standard quantity. What is called standard quantity? Expected quantity of raw material required for actual production. Actual production is the criteria. Actually, how many units produce? For that, how much raw material you need? எவ்வளவு raw material use பண்ணிருக்கணும்? That is called standard quantity. Actually, how many units I produce? To produce the product, how many hours I supposed to take is called standard hours. Therefore, always remember, standard quantity or standard hours is purely based on actual production. Based on actual production only how to compute. So, if at all we will commit the mistake, standard quantity தான் compute mistake தப்பான chance இருக்கு. So, please be thorough with respect to the concept properly. Clear? That's the reason the word standard always ends with the actual production. Then, material mix variance, yield variance arises only in case of more than one raw material. In examination question, only one raw material alone is there. Mix and yield not applicable. So that you happily can solve the problem. Similarly, labor, mix variance and the efficiency variance applicable only in case of more than one cadre of labor. Only one labor alone is there. Skilled, unskilled, semi-skilled. Okay, qualified, unqualified. More than one cadre is there means mix variance and what? Efficiency variance will come. Clear? Otherwise, subclassification will not come. Gang variance they asked once. Gang variance is also known as what? Group of variance. Mixed variance is also called the gang variance. Adult time variance you have to be thorough. Always remember, adult time variance is always adverse only. Formula for the adult time variance is actual adult time into standard rate is equal to adult time variance. That is always adverse only. Clear? In examination, fixed overhead variance they won't fail when calendar variance arises. When calendar variance arises, whether with calendar or without calendar, you have to identify. Whenever days are given in this question, budgeted days and actual days, then it is called the calendar variance. Days not given mean that is without calendar variance. Calendar na days irukum illaya. Days are available means calendar variance. Else it's called it's not a calendar variance. The next one, always remember while solving the problem, all the variance you have to express in rupees only. Maybe material or labor or variable overhead or fixed overhead. Rupee is 5,000, 6,000. You have to mention rupees. If you are not marking rupees, mean reduction in mark will be there. And you have to write favorable or adverse. Few of them adverse within bracket, favorable without bracket. Don't use it. Favorable or adverse, you have to write rupees 5,000 favorable, rupees 8,000 adverse. You have to write properly. Then only get the full mark. Clear? Then abbreviations also you can use. SQ, AQ. The abbreviation also you can use. After that, end of the session, end of the what? Note you have to give. AQ represent actual quantity, AP represent actual price. If you are going to give the expansion, you'll get the full mark. Once they ask 5-mark question, that is in compulsory question. They ask you to compute after giving material related variance. They ask you to compute material wise variance, material wise variances. Material wise variances means what? Material cost variance, price variance, usage variance, mix variance, yield variance, everything they computed. But they asked material wise variances. Material wise means raw material A, B, C, three raw materials are there. Raw material A odia material cost variance how much, B's material cost variance how much, C material cost variance how much. Similarly, price variance for A is how much, B is how much, C is how much. How to write separately. Material variances is different, material wise variance is different. So these are all the small things you have to read the question carefully so that you can save your 4 months of your lifetime. So if you enjoyed standard costing also, all are enjoyed, Kanna? Clear? So I'll give the surprise gift also. What are all the formula you have to remember? I'll send the PDF over one. You can WhatsApp me. Clear? What are all the formula? Then 30 important short videos. Okay? Enna concept in the exam padikkanum. Clear? Those video with the link also will give, Kanna. Clear? And the past exam theory questions answer also I'll give the video. 3 gifts I will provide out of this session. Hope you enjoyed today's session. Hope it was useful. Within less time, I have completed. Am I right? Happy only, no? So prepare for the examination. All the very best. My best wishes for success in this examination. Okay? Don't be panic. All the 3 should be there at the examination hall. Write the exam properly and achieve the success. Clear? Don't come out from the examination hall before 5 o'clock. Okay? You should be the last person to come out. Clear? Try your best. Clear? You should not face the failure. So try to do some validation, give rupees or units or some points extra on theory. Better always you can write the MCQ last 45 minutes, so that you can concentrate ஆராம்சே to solve the problem. MCQ டைம் பத்தலனாலும் கொஞ்சம் கீப்பிங்கில் எழுதி வர சான்ஸ் இருக்கு. If you are going to spend substantial time in MQ for 1.5 hours, then remaining time is not sufficient for you to solve the practical problem. Clear? So hope you enjoyed the session. Clear? My best wishes, my dears. All the very best for the examination. Bye bye. Thank you, my dears. Thank you, my dears. Thank you.